This time on Road and Race, the Lotus Esprit. I assume most boys had a picture of an exotic supercar on their wall when they were young. For me, it was the Lotus Esprit. Most people know it for the Bond movies, but for me, it was down to a computer game by Gremlin Graphics called Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. So when I got offered the chance to drive an Esprit, I was initially excited to do so. Near the time I thought, was it a good idea? Could the car ever live up to expectations? The Esprit design was first shown at the Turin Motor Show in 1972 as a concept car by Giorgetto Giugiaro. As used in the computer games, this particular car was made in 1983 and is the third revision of the design. It has a 4-cylinder, 2.2 litre engine developing 160 brake horsepower and 160 foot-pounds of torque. This may not sound much by today's standards, but as the car is very light, it has the same power-to-weight ratio as the original Porsche Boxster. This is the naturally aspirated version, and only 767 were ever sold, as opposed to over 3,500 of the turbo version. Today the car would set you back about £16,000. It's probably not up for debate that the Esprit is a marvel of styling. The bold, angular design is a masterpiece, and the car looks incredible from every single angle. The bodywork is fiberglass, so it's light and won't rust. Pop-up headlights, need I say more? Inside the car, I was expecting to be disappointed, but I wasn't. It's like a gentleman's club in here. You're surrounded in leather. Leather seats, leather dashboard, leather door cards, leather steering wheel, it's on every surface. Having seen more modern Lotuses, such as the Elise, I assumed the interior would have dated horribly. It's got a timeless classic elegance to it. You can tell they spent a lot of time getting it right. I also really love the look of the instrument binnacle, with its big, chunky analog dials and buttons. Clearly it's madness to expect modern technology such as a sat-nav, but you do have everything you need such as aircon and a stereo. James Bond fans will be happy to hear that if you are being pursued by henchmen, the rear paint cannon button has remained as standard. This is my first drive in an Esprit. How do I find it? Well, you quickly realise that you're spoilt in a modern car. The steering in this car is heavier, the brakes are a little bit woollier, the clutch is very heavy, and you do feel the bumps, and you are in a much more mechanical car. This car is 33 years old, and I've never driven a car this old before. To tell you the truth, I was initially surprised, but not in a good way. Most modern cars you can just get in and drive. The Esprit is a different beast. You have to take your time to get used to the car, as everything is initially slightly harder to do. For instance, the gearbox. You don't simply push forward for first gear, you have to push it diagonally forward and to the right. Not the fault of the Esprit necessarily, as I'd assume any 30-year-old car would be harder to drive initially. The only other Lotus I've driven is an Elise, and these cars feel very similar. They've both got that kind of go-kart feel. You sit very low, and so you're more connected to what the car is doing. You do feel the bumps more, but you feel everything more. How the steering is working, how the suspension is working, and this is why you get more feedback. So performance-wise, power doesn't really kick in to about 5,000 RPM, so you have to ride the car quite hard. 160 brake horsepower, in a car that only weighs about a tonne. The car doesn't feel sluggish though. It's responsive when you want it to be. You get the feeling this car was designed to be able to do the grand tours, as well as the B-road blasts. You've got the Formula 1 derived anti-Ackerman steering, which is great for high speeds, maybe less so when you try and get around a car park and the turning circle isn't as good as you like it to be. Here's where one of the performance features has compromised day-to-day driving of the car. The anti-Ackerman steering gives a very positive feeling to the steering, as it allows you to corner better at faster speeds. But in a small town like this one, you may struggle to get around tight spaces if you don't think ahead. Braking wise, you have to push the pedal about halfway before anything really happens. Which again was a surprise for me, coming from more modern, more servo-assisted brakes. But the brakes on the Esprit do work, it's just a matter of getting used to them. On the plus side though, it's not a heavy pedal like some modern sports cars, so it's not tiring to use on long journeys. Comfort wise, you're almost like a sofa for a seat. Lots of leather, very plush, very comfortable. The steering wheel is a good size, and visibility for a mid-engine sports car is very good. You probably don't want to invite anyone over 6 foot on a long journey though, as the wheel arch takes up some of the legroom in the passenger footwell. Very easy to understand this was designed to be a driver's car. It's a hard job to pull off a car without compromises,
but this car strikes a good balance of being race and performance focused while still being a usable road car.
Is this a car you could use every day? I don't see why not. You have to get used to it and you'll have to learn to drive in a certain way. But is that a bad thing?
So is the car of my childhood as good as I thought it would be? No, it's not. But then again, it never could be. It's stunning to look at and does drive remarkably well, especially for a car of this age. But for me personally, is it a car I would actually pay for? If money was no object, then of course, I'd buy one for my dream garage in an instant. But right in this moment, right now, it's simply not as good as other modern cars you can get cheaper second hand. But am I missing the point? The Lotus Esprit isn't a car you buy because it's better than other cars. It's a car you buy because it's a Lotus Esprit. Next time on Road and Race, a friend of mine asked me to check to see if their second-hand car she bought was okay. Here's my guide to giving any car a quick once-over. If you found this video useful, please subscribe and hit the like button as it really helps us make more shows. Click the suggested box at the top of the screen now to watch the next video in this series. Please feel free to get in touch by leaving a comment on this video, and you can keep up to date with us via our website, Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. Thanks for watching.